I was living in the past, worried about the future, and missed out on what's actually the only thing that we really have is this moment right here. There will be a beginning and an end to everything. Life, relationships, jobs, your children will be adults. Enjoy the frickin' middle. That's where the good shit's at. That's where the stuffing's in the Oreo cookie, the peanut butter jelly, and the sandwich, the good shit. It's always in the middle. It's not on, nothing happens in yesterday, and nothing's happening in tomorrow.
Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Life Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Smith, and if you have not done so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another podcast. And if you love this podcast and you want some more tips and tricks on how to improve yourself, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. There are a ton of instructional videos there. You can find the links down below. However, my friend, before you go ahead and do that, I would love for you to stick around with our guest today, the cornerman coach himself, Bill Matthews.
What an amazing intro, Kyle. Man, you got me pumped up. I didn't even take any pre-workout this morning or anything.
Right on, my dude. I'm glad to hear that. I'm just gonna take this energy, I'll bottle it up, and I'll sell it someday.
I'm sure you do in your own way already.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Something I also want to point out with you that I recognized, and this is something specific to you that I was kind of like thinking of after we scheduled this podcast. I was like, something I wanted to share with you is that when I seen you in Richmond, we didn't talk too much in Richmond when we went down there for the Enlifted event. But I gotta say, man, you walk around with some swagger. You walk around with some flow to you, and I think that, in my opinion, from what I could recognize, it creates a beautiful space for the people interacting with you, I'm sure. And I just wanted to acknowledge you for that.
Well, I really appreciate you reflecting that back to me because Kyle, it has not always been that way. I did not grow up that way. I was the kid that sat in the back and hid and hoped you would not pick on me. And then in a very odd way was upset when you didn't. You know,
Mm.
it's like an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, right? It's like, don't pick me, don't pick me. Oh, you didn't pick me, right? So yeah, that's a lot of inner work to be able to carry myself. I express to people that I don't know what kind of shoes, Kyle. I don't know what kind of shoes you wore
Mhm.
because I'm not looking down at your feet.
Mm.
Because I can look a man, a woman, or anybody in the eye. I'm not better than, I'm not worse than. I freaking measure up, dude. You measure up. We are, you know, we have the right to be in a conversation.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And for a long time, Kyle, I did not feel that way. If something was uncomfortable, I made a right. I made a left. I wasn't looking you in the eye. But today, I can look you in the eye. I can receive a compliment and say thank you. I can give a compliment. And that is a freaking beautiful feeling. So everybody, I want everybody to feel that way, you know?
I love that, dude. A question that I like to ask the guests right off the bat, or the first question that I like to ask is, how is it, Bill, that you impact the lives of the people around you?
Through my so-called tragedies, I've turned them into assets.
Mm.
And what has happened to me, I've turned that story around in a way of encouraging others that either are in the same spot as me or on that path to inspire them with my actions, encourage with my words, and serve with love. That's my purpose in life.
Mm.
And I've had some so-called tragic experience in my life with young drug addiction and then recovering. So I choose to use that not as, oh my God, woe is me, and I'm this victim, but hey, this happened to me. As a result, this is what I've learned, and I've kicked some rocks off the trail for you. Let me tell you about it. You don't have to go down that road. You can if you want. However, let me share a story with you.
Mm. I like that, dude. I like that. And there's something that you put on many of your Instagram posts, and I'm curious what calm, strong mindset and movement means to you.
So it used to be start calm and finish strong because I believe a lot of people do not start their day with any moment of calm. They start their day, their phone is next to their bed. The first thing they do is look at it and go, oh my God, I didn't get the email, or I got the email, or look what happened to Susie, or whatever's going on. And no calm. So my guidance to people that I coach is, can you start your day with a moment of silence? 30 minutes without looking at your phone, without any outside distractions, and meditate, read a couple pages. So that's my version of start calm. And then it was finish strong was, hey, do something difficult today. Did you lift anything? Did you take a walk? Did you do anything to push yourself? So let's finish the day on a high note or throughout the day. And then I added movement. So it's like, get some movement in, right? Otherwise, we're going to rust. I'm a 57-year-old man. A lot of my buddies are rusted. They're like the Tin Man. It's like, let's get some movement. And no, you don't have to do CrossFit. Can you take a walk? Can you do a couple air squats? Just movement. And then mindset is, what is the story? The definition of mindset is, what is the story you're telling yourself about yourself to yourself? Are you aware of that story? So that's what I mean about mindset. So calm, strong movement and mindset is just be awake, be intentional with your day. And I know I just put that out there. It's a post I do every day. I've done that for hundreds of days in a row. And I have recorded a video of what it meant. So people are just not seeing it and going, what does that mean? But that's so yeah, that's what that means. Encouraging people to start calm, do something difficult, and be aware of their self-talk.
I like that. Something else I really like as I was creeping your Instagrams for the research, I like that, and it was by no accident that I called you the cornerman at the in the introduction. But you call yourself cornerman coaching, and you say you're here to help guide folks along their journey of holistic wellness because it's nice to have someone in their corner. I think that that is a very unique, or at least, yeah, it is a unique uh, angle to introduce people to the possibility of changing their circumstances. It, to me, has, and this has been kind of evident in my life recently, where I've been trying to aim for what I would call a harmonious hustle, where I have that calmness, but I also have that aspect of hustling as well, so that I can balance out the dualities of work and yeah, work and recover, work and recover, work and recover. Where did the concept or the idea of cornerman coaching, what was the inspiration of that?
It's actually a document. It's actually a coaching. It's part of my coaching. So we start with the story, the limiting belief story, and then once we get through that, I coach people's like, everybody has a corner man. Let's go from this voice in your head telling you ain't good enough to a voice that says, hey, you got this, bro. You got it. Or hey, the floor is no place for a champ, right? Get up. Hey, let's keep going. Come on over here and let me rub your shoulders, give you some water, whatever it might be. But I asked him, what does that corner man look like? What does he say? What does he dress like? Does he have an accent? So in in reference to that, I am ask I'm it's it's something that when you say cornerman, everybody knows what that is. And most men my age come up with Rocky.
Yep.
And there's this corner guy. Come on, Rock, right? You want that voice in your head to be cheering you on to say, hey, you can go the extra mile. So in my coaching, I want to be that voice in your head for now while you're learning that you're what you're capable of. And then I want that voice to the ultimate goal is I don't need to be in your corner for the rest of your life. I want to teach you to be your own cornerman, right? That to encourage your own self, that you don't need somebody outside of you to say you got this, but through a period of repetitions while I'm coaching you, you're going to get some confidence going, man, I can do this because I've been doing it. And now you're your own freaking corner man. Not that I don't help clients long term, but that's where that concept goes. Because my tagline is because when life throws you a hook, you want to be able to duck, rise, and thrive.
Nice. I like that. I really like that. Uh, Question I have that's a curiosity question. It's a, well, I suppose every question is a curiosity question, but what is it that you're bringing into the world that wasn't there before?
For my clients, it's not that it's not in the world, but the people I tend to coach they have limiting beliefs. They have a story of telling themselves of stuck and woe is me. What I'm bringing into the world for them is the opposite of the victim mentality, but that they are good enough to change that self-talk. So what I'm bringing into the world for them is the power of belief in themselves. And we're going to do that through a manner of small goals, small tasks that they can complete and begin to build this confidence. So I'm bringing a new story and confidence into the world for that individual
Mm,
in my unique way, because as you are and I am, I can coach people that you cannot, and you can coach people that I cannot because of my unique experience.
mm, mhm,
And it's very interesting because I heard this quote that says, a piano teacher can teach a billionaire how to play the piano. Why? Because she's better at playing the piano than he is. She's not trying to teach him how to play or be a billionaire. He
mhm.
knows how to do that. So when you are confident in what abilities that you're good at, once again, you can walk into any room, Kyle, and understand that you own your space. We are all unique creatures based on our own experiences.
Mm, totally. I think one of the things that was hardest, or one of the things that really strip down limiting beliefs or non-functioning opinions, as I like to put it, was the opportunity to allow myself and grant myself permission to turn and face the aspects of myself that I didn't want to see as a reflection. And by taking that opportunity to deep dive and to remove the lenses, remove my perceptions, I was able to strip away stories in order to get to the root self, I suppose. And before we were chatting, you said that you've been sober for 35 years, 1988. First, that's freaking awesome. Like, congrats on that. Like, that is, I see posts of 100 days, or I'm coming up to, at the end of this month, it'll be 2 years for me. You're at 35 years and freaking slaying it. How how did you go about or speaking to your younger self at that point in time, how would you have told your stories that you have now to like your younger self? How would you, with the limiting beliefs or the narratives that you had at that point in time, how did you basically begin yourself as a phoenix and come out of the freaking embers?
Yeah, I'll try to sum up that question as easy as I can. But first of all, I have 12,994 days according to this app.
Nice.
Um, I mean, I'd like to take credit for my sobriety, um, but it was divine intervention.
Mm,
Whether people believe or not, there was something watching over me. Uh, I can tell you that in 1976, I was handed a warm can of beer. I was 11. I drank it. I enjoyed it. That same year, my older brother gave me half a hit of acid. I'm 11. And
wow.
for the next 10 years, my life, I will say, was literally a trip. And I began to give up everything that was sacred to me. I think a man, we all want two things. We want to love and be loved. And I stopped loving anybody or anything. And the people that loved me, I made it very difficult for them to do so.
Mm,
Because when you keep smacking somebody in the face over and over, pretty soon they don't come to get smacked anymore. So addicts and alcoholics reach a level of loneliness that most people can't understand. Uh, I wasn't a victim. I made a choice to do all those things. And what's interesting, Kyle, is I wasn't an alcoholic. I'm just a kid. I'm partying. I'm just having a good time. We're taking shrooms. We're taking acid every weekend. I'm taking handfuls of pills and then asking what they were. Finding myself in very unique situations. We can call it time traveling. I'm drinking beer at a party here, and then I wake up at another party there. Before you know it, I'm at home and I don't know where my car is or whose house I'm at. You would think that's scary, but that's partying. I thought everybody did that. And then I got into a lot of trouble, law trouble, female trouble. Had a kid when I was 18. Mother of my kid left me because I was a fool. And I ended up getting arrested and sent to rehab. Now, I didn't go to rehab to get sober. I went to rehab so I didn't have to spend all the time in jail that was required for my trouble. And I thought I was just going to some, resort. And there I was introduced into a program that has a few steps to follow. And by doing those steps, you come to a realization that you suffer from an ailment, that I was basically allergic to alcohol. And what that means is it affects me differently than it affects most people. Most people can take a drink and go, "Ooh, I'm feeling a little tipsy. I think I'm done." And I'm like, "You're not going to finish that week." I got that, and realized I had a problem. So at 21 years old, I decided that I would give that a try and not drink. And when I got out of that rehab, I got connected with like-minded people that were doing the same. And I have been very active in the recovery community for 35 years. The way I'm able to stay sober is by helping other people that are struggling with drug addiction and alcoholism and showing them that there's a better way. It's just like why CrossFit works, why Enlifted works, these other tribal communities, church, calling church a tribe, but it is a version of that, a collection of like-minded people on the same path, supporting one another. We can do pretty freaking amazing things.
mhm.
So recovery is CrossFit for sobriety. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, see you tomorrow at 6, dude. Right?
Yeah.
And like I said, I've been on that path for 35 years, man. And it's not that, oh my God, it sounds like a life of boring and horrible. I know nobody does nothing, but drinking and drugs was not my problem. It was my solution to a problem.
Mm,
My not believing in myself or being the victim of what I thought were the actions of others and not taking responsibility for what part I play. Because everything, even in your life now, you either created it or you're allowing it.
mm,
And when you take
mm,
radical responsibility, it's a powerful statement. And I know
mhm,
there's trauma and there's victims, and I'm not taking that lightly. What I'm saying is, most of the time, when I look at my life, the things around me, man, I created this. I manifested this through a power of thought, then some actions, and like, whoa, I live here. I'm not the victim of where I live. I created it. You know what I mean? So if we can look in general, the life we have, we either created it, and if there's things that are happening that we don't like, why are we allowing it to happen? So I don't know if that answered that question, but yeah, man, it's I get the opportunity, Kyle, to live two lives in a lifetime. You know, the life of a drug
mm.
addict. Hey, there was a lot of fun. I had a lot of great times, and then I had a lot of not so great times. And when the not so great times start outweighing the good times, the logical thing is to realize that I should probably soft talk or acknowledge, right? Stop doing this.
Yeah,
And I chose to do it. And I choose on a daily basis to continue to do that because the life that it's given me is freaking amazing, man. Amazing.
I like that. Something we were chatting about before recording was basically going from one high to another, a runner's high, or a athletic endeavor. It's just a different type of high. How have you found? How have you found that previous? How has your previous ailments and experience contributed to the success of your athletic endeavors?
Well, part of that is, I mean, I am just a man of streaks, right? So it's like I I don't give up. So I got this string of 1,200 something days. That's a great streak, right? So, and then I'm married for 31 years, man. I got a streak of that. I worked for the same company for 20 years. So when you start running, you're like, oh, I want to be consistent at this as well. Right. So those philosophies of being able to maintain consistency has just taught me the benefits of what's consistent. You know, what if I keep going? But running was not something I've been doing my whole life. Like I grew up playing basketball. Running was freaking punishment. Nobody runs on freaking purpose. You run when the coach says, yo, run some laps, you lazy piece of, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So the fact is, at 45 years old in 2011, Kyle would see Bill as this very, maybe not because you're awake. You see things more like I do, but the
Right.
average person would see me and go, man, that dude's got it all. I'm 45. I own my own house. I'm married. I got kids. I got nice cars. I got a Harley. I got a freaking great corporate job. However, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I didn't like the man I saw. I was disconnected from me. I lost me chasing what everybody said was important or should be important. I'm 6'4". I weigh 222 pounds. Sounds okay, but I ain't built like the Rock, right? So I carried it where the average man does in his freaking belly. So I'm not taking my shirt off at the pool party. I'm avoiding circumstances where that would happen. I am not liking what I see when I take my own shirt off. So therefore, it's affecting my relationship with my wife. I'm drinking another rock star, smoking another camel filter, and just saying, hey, Kyle, it's too late for me, bro. I just got caught up and made a left when I should have made a right. And I don't know what sparked it, man, but I looked at the living room where my wife had a treadmill, and I'm like, I think I'm going to run a mile. I'm going to go run a mile on that thing. And you know what? I did it. And it felt good. It was like, hey, I, I can't believe I just did that. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. And that set off this phenomenon of craving of activity. I wanted more of the feeling good. I want to that feel good drug, the hormones, the we have this drugstore in our bodies that we can release by different activities. And I got outside and I ran. And then I mean I could go on about my running endeavors, but over the last 12 years I've run over 20,000 miles.
Damn.
And no, the average, doesn't your knees hurt? No, your knees are not supposed to hurt, you know? My knees don't hurt, my body don't hurt. I feel great. Uh, so, yeah,
I dig
running
that.
has been really cool.
Uh, something because I just started running a little bit more often where I'll do weights 3 times per week and then running 2 to 3 times per week, or at least like a longer duration ruck or a walk. Just really like yesterday, no, the day before, I cranked out 30,000 steps as just a metric that I keep track of. And that was with 30 pounds on my back. And it was in a river valley up and down. It was good. It was good. And what I've recognized is when because we can have too much energy going on. And if we don't have that physical outlet, I think that for myself, I find myself in a misalignment, or my North Star, my intuition is not like calibrated appropriately. And that 30,000 steps was to purposefully like force myself out of my head and into my body so that I can reconnect from the ethereal to the physical. And there is something beautiful about the gift that discomfort gives us, that comfort will may feel good in the present moment, but there is certainly a difference in choosing to do an activity for pleasure or purpose. And how have you found discomfort to work almost as a prescription for a calm mind?
I, I want to say that I have to be careful because I used to think, man, I have to run to get this, to release this. And there is a
Mm-hmm,
release that gets it.
hmm
But I don't want to tell myself a story that I have to do this. What is that? What if you don't get to today? What if life throws you something different and are you just going to be pissed? No, it's like, hey, if I have time today, if the world and the universe allows, I'm going to go get my run in. And if not, I'll figure in breath work we talked about earlier. There's other ways to release that. And maybe it's just a walk. Maybe it's another way. But how does it help me with my calm? I just, this comfort and discomfort thing, um when you put yourself in the middle of the storm on purpose, you can either get caught up in the storm, oh my God, it's storm and this is the most difficult thing, or you can go, hey, I'm just going to breathe through this storm and I'm going to get, as a mountain runner, I'm going to get to the top. It's gonna happen if I just keep going. So the goal is to stay calm in the midst of that. And then I think the calm when you're done comes as a result of knowing you just did something really difficult. That reward is so pleasurable. Just being able to look back at something that you just did. I mean, that's a lot of steps with a ruck pack, right? It's like I tell everybody, hey, find your own hard, man. It's like I'm not a running coach. I run. If I coach you, doesn't mean I'm gonna make you run a freaking ultra marathon. If you want to run, let's do it. But find your own hard. Find what the difficulty with coaching and implementing what I believe is right for Kyle, why that doesn't work long time, because that's might not be what Kyle likes to do.
Mhm.
So my coaching is like, hey, let's find through a process of doing some work together, let's find out what has rhythm and flow in your life. You choose what that is, and let's go do that. And I'm here to support you do that. Because if the goal is attainable, that's awesome. Let's make sure it's sustainable in the long term and you freaking enjoy it. Most people aren't consistent in their health and wellness because the goal wasn't attainable. I'm going to lose 100 pounds in 2 months or some astronomical thing. And then whatever method they used of starvation or going to the gym 3 hours a day, 7 days a week is not sustainable. And by no means do they freaking enjoy it. So they might reach a goal. And then, as you know, through doing what you do, they end up worse off than they ever were to begin with.
Fair enough. Yeah. That was a great answer. That was awesome. You had some awesome depth in that one, man. Damn, that was really good. Uh with what are some principles or tactical approaches that you've utilized for yourself, and then perhaps uh how have your clients adopted similar tactics to be able to accomplish their goals? How have you assisted them that way?
I am when I'm coaching, they know like things that I've done. So I'm very honest and open about my struggles and my successes. So
Mm,
they know like, whoa, Bill is talking about something that he's an example of. I do not coach people on things that I haven't really done. And I know there's coaches that can teach people how to play baseball and swing a bat that never made it to the major leagues. You know what I mean? There's I get that. However, it seems the men that I coach are coming to me because I'm an example of something they want, whether it's physical health, physical endeavors, strength mentally or physically. That's why they're here. So my first goal is to have them put themselves, what's the goal? What is it you want to achieve? And I don't want it to be, I want to run a half marathon. Okay, great. But why do you want to run a half marathon?
mm,
Because if the goal is just to get into your wedding dress, the day the wedding dress fits and it's over, or the day you run the half marathon, now what do? Most people revert back to what they were doing before the goal. So I want the goal to have depth. I want to be healthy enough to see my grandkids, or I want to be an example to my children. I want to walk my daughter down the aisle and be an active member in her children's life. Well, there's not an end to that goal. Like, okay, now that's a great target that doesn't ever end. What are some goals now we can put in place to help you reach that target? And they're like, oh, cool. Now we reached that goal. It's not the end. What's the next goal? What's the next goal? What's the next goal? So I don't want these limiting, very short term goals, right? People come to me to lose weight, and then I don't talk to them about diet.
mm,
It's like I talk to them about mindset and the story they're telling themselves about themselves and these limiting beliefs. And they're like, hey, I lost 10 pounds. I'm like, ain't that great? I never even told you what to eat. When you start like I said, drugs were not my problem, they were my solution. Hey, Kyle, when you feel good about yourself, you do good things for yourself.
mm.
So as I'm coaching somebody and they begin to feel good, they start making better choices. I love manifestation, and people can call that woo woo or not, but it worked and it worked for me. So I will tell a person maybe that wants to lose weight, Why don't you write down a paragraph or two of what what now that you have lost the weight,
Mm,
what does it feel like? What are people saying to you? What are you doing differently? And I want you to embody that feeling, because once you are thinking, Neville Goddard speaks of, don't think about how to achieve the goal, but think from the goal. So if I am already the person that lost 50 pounds, when I go into the kitchen, I might ask myself a question. Does a person that lost 50 pounds eat a sleeve of Oreo cookies? Probably not. Do they eat a cookie? Yeah, they might have a cookie. Like, hey, I'm a fitness guy, but I like freaking cake.
mm,
Like, eat the cake, a piece of cake, not the whole cake. There's no good or bad foods, Kyle. It's just, is it moving me towards my mountain or not? So the answer is always, it depends. A whole pizza for a strong man, he can eat a whole pizza. It works out great. A marathon runner, probably not so great. So it depends. It depends what the idea is. I don't prescribe diets. I don't tell people what's good or bad. I ask them, does that feel good? Does it not feel good? You want to feel good before you eat it, while you eat it, and after you eat it.
mm.
And if the workout you're doing is causing you pain, let's talk about that because you're not supposed to be in pain, right? So, anyway, I could get off on a bit of a tangent with that stuff. So,
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I can feel the fired upness. And I'm like, yeah, bring it. I love it. I love every second of it. I
right.
think I think something that's beautiful about it, or at least having this conversation, and it's just kind of popping up as I'm talking now, where the energy you're bringing and the excitement that you're bringing to the message uh, is it shows a different state of being rather than the go hard, go hard, go hard, and then remove like how you feel. Like I like how you said you want to understand how you feel before, during, and after. And I think on intentionality on the trajectory can have a positive contribution to the decisions that we make in the present because we're making data-driven, informed decisions rather than decisions off of a whim. So we're being beings of will rather than creatures of whim. And with that intentionality, then I think with intentionality, that one Oreo cookie is going to taste so much better than if you just mowed down that whole sleeve because there is still that there's a positive contribution to that little moment in time rather than just wanting to feel good and then consuming or doing whatever on a whim without the intentionality. It's like, I want to escape this. I want to avoid this. I want to feel good. I want to feel, in some cases, I think it's really interesting with, I recently read uh, Wisdom of the Shaman with Jose Ruiz, uh, the son of Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the Four
Uh-huh.
Agreements. And something I think is really cool is the concept that human beings are addicted to suffering. And whether I like thinking of discipline this way, where whether we are undisciplined or disciplined, we're still going to experience a degree in suffering. It's just which suffering, quote unquote suffering, you choose to partake in. In the undisciplined, you suffer the consequences of not getting what you want. In the suffering of discipline, you experience the short-term resistance to changing the identity that you've associated with that got you to the goals presently. Because I think something that's cool with what you said earlier about time travel, or there's a time component to it. And I think of ourselves in the present as our past future, while we are also in the present, our future's past. And I think with that thought process, having the intentionality of where does that vision of my future go? And picking up on those behaviors, whether it's the sleeve of Oreos or the single Oreo, whether it's the run, whether it's the workout, whether it's the couch, whether it's the Netflix, having that intentionality and having that thought process, it's almost meditative.
For sure. And I know the pain of the run is a lot less than the pain of the regret that you are going to have at the end of your life. You know, I'm all about go hard and David Goggins, and I get it. There's times when I get his voice in my head, but it's also can be too much as well. I want people to embrace discomfort, but not at the cost of their overall health and well-being. Of course, I don't, I'm not just a runner. I lift and I enjoy pushing myself because I want to be an overall functional human being. And it's not always fun, but the feeling afterwards is is what I'm looking for. What is the result of this versus the result of not doing that got me to be 222 pounds and sitting on the couch. So when I talked earlier about establishing this voice in our head that most people aren't really aware of. So if you think of Michael Singer and the Untethered Soul and the Roommate, and you can look at object subject and think, I'm not the voice in my head. I'm the one watching the voice in my head. Just give yourself a an opportunity to be aware of that. So when I talk about discipline, I talk about when you set the alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning because you said you're going to the gym, if that's what you choose to do, and you choose to hit snooze, that's you negotiating with the voice that freaking got you in that mess to begin with. So, me making people aware of that voice, they won't hit the snooze. Like, that's going to be like, hey, I'm not negotiating with you. I'm freaking done with you, little Billy. We're done. Like, I'm doing this. And I promise anybody who might be listening, if you don't negotiate with what I would call your ego, your lower self, the one that wants you to keep you safe and comfortable and not harm, and let's watch another series and get a Snickers bar and whatever we want, you are going to reach the goals that you want. It's on the other side of that voice, that other side. It's when and if you look back at times when you didn't give in to that, you succeeded.
Damn. Yeah, that's good. I felt that one in it very much resonated with the heartstrings on that one. That was a fantastic share. Yeah, very good share. Got some good feels on that one. Uh, I've been playing around with this kind of thought process of character creation, and for the I like to think of there being a inner role model, the inner rival, and then the primary voice. And so the primary voice in my mind is the one that we're speaking together with right now. So that I'm speaking to the Bill primary voice, and then I'm speaking from Kyle as well. And then there's the inner rival, which is exactly what came to mind when you were talking about those negotiations where that inner rival is coming and like whispering. I imagine like the fox in Pinocchio. Like the one that's like, come on, let's go to the amusement park. Let's go to the amusement park. It's gonna be fun. Here, try some of this tobacco. Here, try like so on and so forth. Like that inner rival is that manipulating fox. And then the inner role model is reminding me of what you were talking about with uh envisioning your future self and then thinking of now in the past. Like, and correct me at any point if I got anything off, but it's having that future casting where you're future casting that future role model and then deconstructing the characteristics and attributes of that person and then trying to bring it into the present. And I'm a big fan of manifestation too, my friend. Like big fan. I look at the world as inputs. Everything is a cosmic calculation where there's inputs, and the inputs we have control of. If we can manifest the idea that we have within our mind, that it hits our soul and it hits our intuition, and we're working in alignment towards that desired outcome, and more so, in my opinion, the desired person that we wish to become, then it's so much easier to condense that time frame into listening to that role model and knowing that, okay, this role model that I've created has context into my present situation and can advise me and in, inspire me to make the appropriate inputs. So decisions can be inputs, make the appropriate inputs to get to that point in time. I love that, man. I like that. I'm just, as you're speaking, I'm like time traveling with you. I see your mind like flowing around like the time space continuum. And I'm like, I'm along for the ride, my man. I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because if you really embrace that future self, and if your future self wants to be, hey, I want freaking 500,000 subscribers on my channel, whatever it might be, you can get up in the morning and go, okay, now that I've achieved that, what does that guy do every day to have that? And go do that. You can at least write down three things what a person that has a channel like that did to get it, does to have it, and do those things. And you'll create it. It's the same way as the guy that wants to run a 100-mile foot race. What does he do every day? Does he probably eats pretty good. Okay, great. He probably high protein, some carbs, some good stuff. He probably runs, obviously, right? Maybe he does some weightlifting to endure the punishment that the body. I'm going to go do that.
Mm,
And guess what I just did? I just became the person that I said I was because I started taking the actions of that future self. When I started introducing myself as a health and wellness coach, mindset, performance, whatever I was wanting to introduce myself as at the time, guess what I became? I became a fucking coach. People started going like, "Oh, that's he's a coach." Hey, Kyle, what are you? I'm a freaking podcaster. I have a badass podcast. All of a sudden, people look at like, hey, he's got a podcast. It's like you created it with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. As we know, like thoughts are not like thoughts and words matter. Like they create matter. My words create matter, physical manifestations, right?
whew. My words create matter. Mm,
Yeah, everything around me, it's like, holy crap, man. At some point, I envisioned this happening where I live, who I'm married to, what I did this morning. I created it. We are not victims, we're freaking creators. There is a line that's really, really I'm all about taking responsibility.
yep,
No more victim. No more.
same.
We are born looking like our parents. We die looking like our choices.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Oof.
It's
Man,
it's a
you
pow
got me teary-eyed on that one.
it's powerful
Yeah.
because when I look at myself in the mirror, I can't blame my mom for anything of my health and wellness. My mom's passed away. My mom brought me into this world and did the best she could. It's like, what are the choices that I made along the way? That was me. And when people walk around and not taking responsibility for themselves, it's their fault. They it's like they gave their power away. But when I say, hey, I contributed, I made choices, which means I can make different choices, that's powerful. I don't want to walk around thinking I have no choices and no opportunity to better my life? Because I do. And that's back to my coaching. People come to me because they want a six pack and they find out that there's so much more to life than I say chase health and the aesthetics will follow.
Mm,
You chase
yeah,
aesthetics, and as you know, in the fitness community, health does not always follow. And I'm talking about mental health, I'm talking about relationship health. Health is a big word, and I'm not just talking about our physical health.
absolutely. I actually, one thing that I've done this year is reframing or putting a bigger emphasis on, instead of just health, because I view health as a continuum between health and unhealth, or health and illness. So I've been putting it under fitness. So mental and physical fitness embodies both the wellness and the health, or the health and the unhealth of wherever we could be at any point in time. And I believe, or at least this is how it worked in my mind, by changing it from health to fitness, it encompasses the high highs and the low lows, like the peaks and valleys that we experience as we go through life and going through decisions as to whether we're going to uh, work in favor of or against the person that we want to become. And I think uh, with putting an emphasis on honesty on where someone is with their mental and their physical fitness brings about the awareness and the opportunity to change that trajectory into that person as well.
Well, what's really interesting is when people come to you for coaching, whether it's some macros or diet, like, hey, what do you think I should eat? What does my calorie should be? My workout. Can you give me a workout? Hey, they could get that for free on YouTube. All of that's free. You don't need me to give you that. The question is, why aren't you doing it already?
Mm.
What's stopping you today from why didn't you go to the gym yesterday? You know? So that's where the cornerman comes in, right? It's like they want physical support. They want somebody cheering them on. They want some accountability. Just hold me accountable to me. Because the saddest thing is, as I discuss to men what are some of the biggest problems, is knowing they don't want to die young. They're afraid of having a heart attack. They don't really have a stress relief system, a down regulating meditation or whatever, but they're not in alignment and integrity with themselves. They're not even keeping, which goes back to something that we were talking about earlier, negotiating. It's like, hey, I just asked you all those questions. And this is while I'm getting to know a person, see if I'm the right fit. They get a unique awareness like, shit, why am I not doing it already? You know what? I freaking need you as my coach because you need to keep asking me that question and hold me accountable. Right. And it's like the corner man. If you think about Rocky was in there getting his butt kicked. The corner man was just more excited than he was because he was from the outside. So that's what's cool. It's like, hey, just keep going. I promise you, when that guy's going to go down, you're going to conquer this mountain, and then we're going to celebrate together, right? So I'm here to be a freaking cheerleader.
That's awesome. Oh man. Well, we're at the top of the hour, and you dropped some fire knowledge bombs today, my dude. Uh, there's no questions that have popped up, and so one thing that I want to ask before going into the final two questions is there anything that has to be said that hasn't been said yet?
Only in a different way. Just keep your commitments to yourself, man. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, just do it, right? Put yourself on the hook for something and follow through with it. Maybe you've never done that in the past or you've fallen short. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try again. Choose a goal that's achievable and do it day in, day out. One step at a time, whatever that goal might be, and achieve that. And I promise you, you'll stack on top of that. And what these little choices that you make in a day, you might not think, whether it's just drink, hey, I'm just going to drink 64 ounces of water today. If just do that every day. It's like if I put somebody in the top of the cruise ship and say, click that little wheel, one little click, you're not gonna, that boat ain't turning. You don't feel it turning. But I'll tell you what, in the next 500 miles, dude, you're headed for a different island. Don't think a 5 minute meditation in the morning is not affecting you, because over time, it is going to affect you.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. So on for the final two questions, my favorite part of the show,
Oh,
just the conversation's a warm up. So it's well, I have a lot of favorite parts of the show, but this is always my always excited because the answers are so subjective and unique, and I think it's cool. So setting the context, setting the scenario, it's at the end of your life, it's the end of your days, you're on your deathbed, you're surrounded by the people that you care for, that you have inspired, that have inspired you. What piece of advice do you want to pass on before you kick the bucket?
gosh darn it, man. Does it have to just be one piece?
Share whatever comes to your heart, my friend.
Um, a couple things. One is be present.
Mm.
Be present. I took my son to Taekwondo for 3 years, from 9 to 12, and he got a black belt. But if you wanted to offer me a large sum of money to describe certain days and what that was like, Kyle, I couldn't tell you. Because when I was there, I wasn't there. I was living in the past, worried about the future, and missed out on what's actually the only thing that we really have is this moment right here. There will be a beginning and an end to everything: life, relationships, jobs. Your children will be adults. Enjoy the frickin' middle. That's where the good shit's at. That's where the stuffing's in the Oreo cookie, the peanut butter and jelly in the sandwich, the good shit. It's always in the middle. It's not on, nothing happens in yesterday and nothing's happening in tomorrow. The only thing that those are stories about yesterday and stories about tomorrow, which aren't real. They're just made up stories that I tell. We're all great storytellers. The only thing we really have is now. So whatever you're going through right now, be present because it's going to change.
That is a great one.
The
For the Go ahead, sorry.
the other part of that would be allow yourself to be happy.
Mm,
It's not up to anybody else to allow you to be happy. You get to choose to be happy. It's not happy when and if. You can choose to be happy now. The last thing that you want to do on your deathbed, which is one of the 5 regrets of the dying, which is a great book, is I wish I would have allowed myself to be happier.
that's awesome. Really good. For the final question, love this one. The very best version of you, the Bill Matthews, your corner coach that you envision and eventually becoming. Actually, I guess with our conversation, you are presently being in order to become.
Right.
But the best version of you is sitting next to you right now. What piece of advice does he have for you during this season of your life?
Just keep going. Might sound simple, but most people don't just keep going. It gets tough and they stop. So my future self is going to say, don't stop. Just keep going. What will happen, Bill, cornerman, if you just keep going? Kyle, what will happen if you just keep showing up on your podcast? Most people that start There's like 1 million podcasts, and half of them only have one podcast. Another 25%, five. You, my friend, are in the top percentile of kick-ass podcasts, and you're just I just keep going, right? So my future self would say, Bill, just keep going, keep being of service, and you're on the right path.
Fantastic. Well, folks, that's what I've got for you in today's episode. Where can people find you, Bill?
I'm mostly on Instagram at cornerman coaching, or you just type in my name, Bill Matthews, you with 2 T's and an S on the end, and you'll find cornerman coaching. If I can be of any service to you in any way, shoot me a DM. Love to jump on a call and just see if I could be of service.
Beautiful. And folks, if you loved today's episode, please do me a favor right now. Take a screenshot, share it to your Instagram stories, and tag me with my handle at DapperDudeKyle, along with at Cornerman Coaching. That is one of the ways that we grow. And until next time, keep up the kindness, and I hope your day treats you as good as you look.